Hello, my name is Julie Hardy. I am doing my reflection for week 4 for TECS301. And so one of the sites that we had to look at was the Scholastic site. There was a couple of them that I really liked to be able to do. So the Scholastic Kids was one of them that I looked up. And what you do is the kids can look through their books to see what they like that they would like to purchase. So those are books that they can purchase. And then you have apps on there that you can play games for the kids. And then the kids can also watch video clips of different programs that are out there. And so that was one that I felt was a good one that the kids could use. And then especially like the games, maybe there's some games that you could use on there with their students that can go along with maybe some of the stuff that you liked. Another one on the Scholastic website was the Book Wizard. And what you can do is you can find books to purchase for your classroom that are leveled. So you can have different types of levels in your classroom and organize them with your levels. And then there are also lesson plans on different books. So you can purchase a book and be able to get a lesson plan that you can print off to work with your students. And then you can read blogs as well to be able to help you generate some ideas on there. And then the other one that I liked was the Crayolas for Educators. And so there's lots of videos that teachers can watch to help them with different resources you can use in the classroom. And then there's just lots of stuff on there that you can actually read about it and figure things out as far as what you can use with your students. So the Scholastic site, I really liked how all of those 25 sites were right there together. So it's all organized, so all you have to do is just see which one you want to read, and then you can click on it and you can go through it for the different information there. One thing that is just a little bit harder for me was to just be able to read through all of that information. It's a lot of reading to get through, and so it's really time consuming to be able to read through all of those and figure out what you want to use and what you don't want to use, or if you have to sign up for something like that. But other than that, I think it was a pretty good site. I just picked a few that I wanted to talk about on the Scholastic site. And it was just, I think the most useful part was just the fact that all of the sites were right there, so the 25 sites listed in order to be able to access them easier. And then we have forteachers.org. And so this one was really nice because you can incorporate technology for your students. There's games that you can have the students play. There's different resources that the teachers can use with their students. So I really like that. I just think that it was great to be able to have different games that you can use for your students that are educational, and then all the different resources that you can find for that. I don't know that there was really anything that I didn't like about that site as far as that goes. And I just think it's really useful to incorporate the technology into your classroom to give students more interactive activities to do with their schoolwork. Next, I read about Kathy Schock, and she's on Discover Education. There was some different things on there. She had different rubrics that you could use that she had created, and you can use them as well for the different types of things on there. One example was that she had rubrics on digital storytelling. So you can print them off and give them to the students and say these are the expectations that you're going to be looking for when you're grading their assignments. You can also create rubrics of your own that you would like to use. And then she had rubrics for Web 2.0 applications. So I thought that was pretty cool. So I really like the fact that you can create your own rubrics and that there's already some on there that you could use so that you don't have to create them. hard to pick something that you don't like when you see something new and you're exploring it for just a little bit and you haven't really used it for your own personal use. Because I'm not teaching right now, and so once I become a teacher, I think it would be a lot easier to be able to come up with things that maybe I don't like, or how to use it better, or how to create something as far as that goes. And I just thought it was most useful that all of the rubrics were labeled out with what they are for. And so it's just easier to just be able to look through them and be able to find, oh, you know what, I want to use this one for this assignment. And so you can click on it and there's your rubric. Or, and I think it's really useful to be able to use some of creating your own rubrics so that you can keep them like in a file or something, or in a binder so you can look through them and be able to have them right there accessible for you. And then there is the phone and tablet apps. There was a few on here that I really enjoyed. There's a couple that I didn't really like. ZipGrade is one that I thought would be interesting to use because you can instantly grade those bubble sheet answers. Being in elementary education, and last time I was there, we didn't really use any of those bubble sheets. So for me, it might not be as useful for the ZipGrade because if we're not using those bubbles sheets for grading anything, then it wouldn't really be useful for me as far as ZipGrade goes. But I found it interesting that they have that now to where you can just take a picture of it, click on it, and then it gives you the answers right there. So that was interesting there. Plickers.com is another one that I wanted to talk about. And what you can do is you use this for a way to check the understanding of your students. And so there are cards that you would print off. And on the cards, on each side of the card, there's 4 different answers there. There's A, B, C, D on there for your answers, and they're like different pictures that are on there for your students. So each one can be assigned a number. Like there's number 1 through 40 on there, and so you can assign them a number, and that's the card that they use all of the time in the classroom. And so they have to show you their answer. And then what you can do is you can take a picture with your smartphone of it, and it will automatically calculate it up for you of how many got this response and who did this and who did that as far as the answers, so that it can help you check for their understanding. And Quizlet was fun. Was a fun one that I found that I really liked because you can create diagrams to help you study better. And so it helps you learn the material in a fun, educational way. You create a diagram and then you can label them and stuff like that. And so it's just a different way to be able to use technology to help you study for particular subjects on there. So I thought it was really useful to be able to use that one. Just so, when you have like science ones, you could create a science diagram and, of like an atom or something, and you can be able to figure out the different parts of the atom and find out a fun way to study that. And then Zoom.us was another one that I liked. It allows you to have video conferences with a group of individuals. And so that would be fun to use for like projects that you have the students working on in a group, so that they can get onto Zoom and they can talk with each other about what they're doing or show their progress, stuff like that. So I think that would be a really useful one to use, and especially with like older children, maybe 4th through 6th grade students might be more ideal for me because I'm doing elementary education, to be able to use where they can talk with each other and work on the projects that have been assigned. And then there's PhotoMath. And photomath.net helps you to solve math problems. You can take a picture of the math problem, and then it helps you step-by-step work through that math problem. And I think that would be really useful for students if they're struggling with something that they don't know. Especially doing step-by-step with them, so that it doesn't just give them an answer, that they have to read through it and make sure that they're doing it the proper way. So I think that would be a great one as well. And like I said, the only one I didn't really like was the zip grade, just because it's probably not going to really be useful for me as an elementary education teacher. But you never know, maybe there will be something that we're going to have to go back to the bubble sheet answers for different things. And we have Project Share Texas. Now, Project Share Texas is one that I really enjoyed and will find useful in the classroom. You have an interactive science glossary. So that's really fun for students to be able to look up a science word and be able to do different stuff with. So it gives you the vocabulary, it gives you activities that you can use. You can print flashcards so that you can be able to look through them at different times before a test. It also has an image of what the vocabulary word is. You could do this in English or Spanish. English or Spanish is a really great one. So those students who are ELL and don't have a lot of English can use that in Spanish to be able to learn the terminology. And then what I would want to do was give them the English version of the printable cards so that they can see it in English and Spanish. You know, you can even put Spanish, write the Spanish word underneath it for the vocabulary word and the definition so that they can see it in English, because, I mean, your tests are going to come in English for pretty much everything. And so it would be good to be able to, them to be able to see, okay, this is the way that the Spanish word is read, and this is the way that it's spelled in English, and so that they can understand that. I really like that site. I think it would be really useful when you're working with science stuff. You can pull it up on like your projector so that the whole class can see it, and they'll know how to use that site, and also, you know, for the vocabulary purposes that you have. So I really, really like that site, and I think it would become really useful for any of the students that you have on there. Our next one is Education Week. So this is on Education Week Teacher, and it gives articles for teachers to be able to read and gather information. And I think it'd be really useful to be able to read some of that stuff, find out some ideas that you could use in your classroom, or some different resources that you can use with your students. So I think that would be a really great website there. So it would just be really useful to be able to find the different articles that you want to read on, read it, get your information, and try to use it further in your classroom or for your individual self on there. And again, there's not a lot that I don't like about the different sites as far as what we read, because I think it's really useful to be able to use different types of technology to be able to enhance your learning and your students' learning. So that's, you know, that's where I come off there and love exploring new things. Next one I'm going to talk about is the PBS Teachers Blog. And there are different things on there that you can use. There's videos that you can watch. There's interactive games you can have students play. There's lesson plans that you can pull up. So you're talking about adding or subtracting fractions, and you can pull up a lesson plan on that to be able to work with your students in class. Maybe you can also do those in small groups. So for like a reinforcement for students. So that's really great. One of the ones that I found as far as an example of a lesson plan to use was called Recipes to Add Fractions and Convert Improper Fractions to Proper Fractions to Mixed Numbers. And so I really like that one. I thought that would be fun, that you're using a recipe to be able to do those different things with your students. And then the lesson plans also have assessments that you can do with your students. And on that recipes one that I saw, there was 2 different assessments. So depending on the level of your students and how much understanding they are understanding the assignment, then you can do it. So you can have 2 different assessments, one for the more advanced students and one for the students that need a little bit more help. That way you can grade them on their own level. So I really like that on there. I think it'll be really useful for some of those lesson plans and those interactive games to play with your students. And then you can also show the videos. So everything basically is useful on that site. Education World Technology Tools. So this one is where you can have your students be more involved with their learning. There's different stuff on there that you can use, different tools to use in your classroom, and there are articles on the tools that you can use. And so it can tell you a certain type of thing, and you can click on it and you can read more about that tool, and then you can do more research on it if you would like, and try to use it in your classroom. Always trying new things is fun and beneficial for yourself and your students. So I like how you can get ideas to be able to help your students be more involved with their learning. So you can do interactive stuff with your students. And the last one I'm going to talk about is Classroom 2.0. So this one I thought was pretty interesting because it's like a social media network for teachers. And so there's articles on there that you can read. There's discussion boards that you can be involved with. You can get notifications on different events that are coming up. And you can connect with some colleagues if they're on there as well. It's a big site that you can sign up for to be a member there to get different ideas to use in your classroom or different ideas for yourself that you can use. And so I really like that one. So the couple that I really like was the Classroom 2.0 because you can connect with other teachers and you can also be a part of a network that's going to really help you later as a teacher with different ideas and stuff. And then Project Share Texas is my other favorite one that I really like, that science glossary to have an interactive thing for your students to be able to look up. Those were my two absolute favorite ones as far as all of the reading that we did do. So I'm glad that I learned about that. So that's what I learned, and there's my reflection for week 4.